Hi everyone, it's Kristi. Welcome to another meal prep video. For breakfast prep this week, I'm doing my peanut butter overnight oats, and my husband and I could not decide whether we wanted the chocolate chip peanut butter overnight oats or a peanut butter and jelly. So we kind of mix and matched, and I'll share that with you in a bit. And for lunch prep this week, it is the most delicious stuffed pizza peppers. If you're new to my channel, I follow the Weight Watchers program, so I do share the Weight Watcher points, but I also try to give calories as well. As always, all the recipes I share will be linked down in the description box below, as well as some of the items that I use, such as my meal prep containers and things like that. I try to put links for those as well. Also, if you're new, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and be a part of the Planning Us Healthy family. So now let's jump into this week's meal prep. This week I'm making overnight oats, and I think we're going to kind of combine it. So I have two recipes on my website, one for peanut butter and jelly overnight oats, and then one for chocolate chip peanut butter overnight oats. They're both basically the same exact recipe except for the topping. So in this one I have chocolate chips, and in this one I have jelly. So for both of these, the way that they're made, it comes out to 4 points on Weight Watchers, and then right around 240 calories. I'm going to actually be increasing the amount of oats that I'm using in them. For these recipes, I used 1/3 of a cup of oats. I'm going to increase the oats to 1/2 cup. That's going to give it an extra point. So by increasing the oats, it's going to make these 5 points each and about 290 calories. Now, at the time that I'm making these, we aren't really sure which we're going to have. So I don't know. I may just make the base, and then each morning we can decide what we want and put those on later. My husband said he's thinking he might mix them and have both the jelly and the chocolate chips. So for the jelly and the chocolate chips, I'm using the Smucker's sugar-free red raspberry preserve. I usually get the strawberry kind, but this is really good. So for this kind, you can have 2 tablespoons for 1 point. And if you're counting calories for the 2 tablespoons, it would be 20 calories. It's 10 calories per tablespoon. And then for the chocolate chips, this time I'm going to use the white chocolate chips. We just like the flavor of these better. And for these, you can have 17 of them for 1 point. And if you're counting calories, for 30 chips is 50 calories. So I'm going to set those aside because, like I said, at this point, I don't know which one I'm going to be using. So to throw these together, it's so easy. I have some oats. Like I said, I'm going to use 1/2 cup of those. I've got some PB2. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of that. I've got some chia seeds that I'll use 1/2 tablespoon of. A teaspoon of this Lakanto monk fruit sweetener. This is the golden kind that's kind of like brown sugar. So, but use whatever sweetener you want. And then I also put in a tablespoon of sugar-free syrup. Today I'm just using this Mrs. Butterworth sugar-free because that's all I have. I actually prefer the Lakanto kind, but I don't have any of that. And I almost forgot, I'm also going to be using 1/2 cup of unsweetened almond milk. If you have the vanilla kind, you can use that as well. So I'm just adding all the dry ingredients first. So like I said, in this case, I'm using 1/2 cup of the oats, and then 2 tablespoons of the PB2, 1/2 tablespoon of the chia seeds, and a teaspoon of the monk fruit sweetener. And then I just give those a little stir. And finally, I'm going to add the wet ingredients. So 1/2 cup of the unsweetened almond milk, and then a tablespoon of the sugar-free syrup. And this will thicken up. So what I usually do is just cover these, put them in my refrigerator. I let them sit overnight, and then they really thicken, especially with the chia seeds in there. And then you just eat them the way that you prefer. We like our oats cold, so we like regular cold overnight oats, but you definitely can heat these in the microwave. I would say heat it in 30-second increments. Heat it for 30 seconds, give it a stir, see how it is, and then if you need to heat it longer, you can. So once those are mixed together, now I'm just going to add the chips, and I'm going to do 17 of them in each one. My husband decided he wants the chips and the jelly in his, so his will be 1 extra point than me. And I think for mine, I'm just going to do 1 with the jelly and 2 with the chips. So that's how easy those are to throw together. So now I'm just going to put lids on them, cover them, put them in the refrigerator, and then we will have them for breakfast the next 3 mornings. Those are the peanut butter and jelly overnight oats and the chocolate chip peanut butter overnight oats. today, I'm actually doing one that I normally do for a dinner. And I'm making some stuffed pizza peppers. These are so good. Now, usually when I make these, I use 93% lean ground beef. And I also use part skim mozzarella. So doing it the exact same way that I do using the 93% lean, it does come out to 11 points. That's because between 10 and 12 is typically what I use for a dinner. So 11 points and the calories are 436. But because I'm gonna do this for a lunch, I'm gonna lower it. So I'm gonna be using the 99% lean ground turkey. This is 0 points on Weight Watchers. Also, I'm gonna be using some fat-free mozzarella on mine, so that will change it a little bit. And then for my husband's, I'm just gonna use the 2% Mexican cheese. Because I'm using the 99% lean ground turkey and I'm using the fat-free mozzarella, that will bring it down to about 5 points. And then for the calories, I'm honestly not sure how much that reduced it. I would still, honestly, if I was counting calories, I would still count it as about 400, but plug everything in depending if you do Weight Watchers or you count calories. Like I always say, always plug everything into your own tracker because the brands alone can make a difference. So everything I give you is just a guide and just the way that I count it, but always track it yourself. So the recipe on my website is based on 2. So I'm gonna be making 6. So because I'm gonna be tripling this, that would be 30 ounces. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use the whole 32 ounces, which is the 2 pounds. It also calls for 3 bell peppers. So what you do is you just cut the bell peppers in half. So for 1 serving, you would split the meat mixture into 3. So basically when you have this as a dinner portion, you have 1.5 peppers that are stuffed. I'm just gonna stuff 2 for the lunch portion. So it's basically gonna be same amount of the meat mixture, but I'm just gonna stuff it all. It'll be like the pepper will have more in it. And then for the serving of 2 is 8 ounces of marinara. And I'm just gonna be using this marinara that I get from Aldi. That also calls for kale, which I have over here in my container I keep in my fridge. So I'm gonna just chop that up into really small pieces. Now for the serving of 2, it calls for 2 ounces, but with kale, I just use however much I want. And then 1 ounce of light cream cheese. I'm just using this 1/3 less fat cream cheese. And then for the seasonings for the meat, I usually just put like garlic powder, pepper, Lowry seasoning, salt. So use whatever seasonings that you prefer. So that is the ingredients that are on my website. And then I link you on my website to the original recipe. So this is not a Planning Us Healthy recipe. It's just because I made modifications. I have it on my website, but then I'll link you to the original, which is actually a Home Chef. This is one of the meals that we got from Home Chef before and absolutely loved it. So I just kind of made some modifications to bring down the points and calories a little bit. But definitely you can leave it the way that it is on their website, the original way. So super easy to make. The first thing I'm gonna do is roast my peppers. So like I said, I have some peppers here that I've cut in half. I've used 2 trays of these, so I have a total of 6 peppers. I've sprayed the aluminum foil with some cooking spray, put the peppers on there, and then I spray the tops with the cooking spray as well. Those are going in a 400-degree oven for about 16 to 18 minutes. While the peppers are roasting in the oven, I'm going to prep my other things. I'm going to start with the kale and I'm just going to stem it and coarsely chop that. Like I said, it calls for 2 ounces for the serving of 2. So for a serving of 6 would be 6 ounces, but you can use however much kale you prefer. Kale has a lot of health benefits to it. It actually has 4 times the vitamin C content and twice the selenium content of spinach. But because I don't care for the flavor of kale, some people can eat it raw in a salad. I don't care for it raw, so I always try to just incorporate it into some recipes. So this is a great way to get the benefits of the kale. After the kale's cut, I'm going to get my meat started cooking. So this original recipe actually calls for Italian sausage. So if you prefer, you can use that. But because I was trying to cut down on the points and calories, that's why I'm using the turkey. But like I always say, make it your own. Use it with whatever meat you prefer. So I've got my skillet on medium-high heat. I've sprayed it with some cooking spray and I've put my 2 pounds of turkey breast in there. So I'm just going to break that up while I'm cooking it. I'm going to let it cook for about 4 to 6 minutes. Next, I'm going to add all of the kale to that and just keep stirring that until it's wilted. Usually only takes about a minute or 2. So now I'm going to add my sauce to that and just let that warm through. just for maybe like a minute. And I needed the 8 ounces for the serving of 2, so tripling it, I need 24 ounces. Once that's all mixed together and heated through, now I'm gonna remove it from the burner and stir in the cream cheese until it's combined. And you can see here, I'm adding 6 ounces of cream cheese. That is clearly too much. I should have only been adding 3 ounces. So I'm gonna have to increase the points on this one. So just keep in mind, 1 ounce for a portion of 2. So for 6 portions, it should just be 3 ounces of cream cheese. So it's 4 points for 1 ounce of the cream cheese. So for 3 ounces, that's gonna add 12 more points. So divide that by the 6 portions. It's gonna increase our points for my husband and I. It'll add 2 more points on it, which still isn't that bad. It's going to bring it to about 7 points for the whole dish. So that's not as bad as I thought it would be. And honestly, you saw how creamy it makes it, adding that extra cream cheese. So if it's worth the points for you, then you can always adjust it. As always, you do you. Sometimes in place of cream cheese, I've used like the little Laughing Cow cheese wedges. That usually reduces the points and calories a little bit. But for today, I'm just using the reduced fat cream cheese. So my peppers are done, and apparently I have a pan that's not quite flat. So one thing to keep in mind, if you don't like them so roasted, you can take them out much earlier if you prefer. We really like the way that the pepper roasts, so that's why we usually keep them in the full 18 minutes. And then after they're cooled, I'm just gonna carefully flip them over so the cut side is up, and I'm gonna divide the filling between each pepper. And then I'm gonna top it with the cheese. These are going back in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes or until the cheese is melted. So now I've got my meal prep containers, and I'm just gonna put 2 of the peppers in each one. And you probably noticed there were some that were a little bit bigger than the others, so I'm just trying to kind of even them out. So I'll put a big pepper with a small one. So I've got my husband's with the 2% cheese and then mine with the fat-free. And like I said, it's gonna add an extra 2 points, but only 35 calories. So it's 70 calories for an ounce of the cream cheese. So it's only gonna add an extra 35 calories to each one. But as I always say, make sure to put it into your own tracker based on the brands and the amounts that you use. And you just gotta try it different ways to see. We may find that we like it this way and it's worth the extra points. So I didn't go through and show you portioning out my snacks. All I have for my snacks this week, I typically honestly just eat fruits and vegetables a lot, sometimes cottage cheese and yogurt, which I'll show you that in a minute. So I've got my carrots, and then I like to dip my carrots in this classic ranch, the Bolthouse Farms yogurt dressing. So I have that weighed out there. You can have, I think it's 1 tablespoon for 1 point, and 2 tablespoons is 50 calories. And then back there, I've got some blackberries. I've got some bananas here. I pretty much eat a whole banana every day, but usually I just do half at a time. So I use my little food huggers to save the other half of the banana for later. And then I have my Light and Fit Dannon yogurt. So I've been buying the Chobani. The Chobani is only 1 point, but I actually prefer the Dannon Light and Fit much better. So this kind is 2 points. I'd rather take the 2 points and have something that I like. So I have strawberry cheesecake, and then I have Boston cream pie, which this one is so good. I like to have this one like as a nighttime snack. It is really good. And then I've also had the banana cream pie is really good as well. So I have those. I also have some Good Culture cottage cheese. So probably usually what I'll do is have a little bit of cottage cheese in the morning before I eat my oats, just to kind of get some extra protein. There's not a whole lot of protein in these oats unless you add protein powder to them. So I always try and pair it with a little bit of protein. So, and then our breakfast and then our lunches, and I am super excited for this week coming up. So let me know what you've got planned for meal prep this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.